Hello everybody, welcome back. It's a little bit later on the 7th of July and Coco and I are here. Here baby, there's a treat. We're here to talk to you about our stitching. I finished my Christmas in July stitching assignment for today, and it has created quite a listing of accomplishments with that one thing. I love it when this happens. So as you know, it was my piece that I assigned for today for Christmas in July. Especially had to swap it out because I needed to do it for my British Bake Off. So let's talk about what I'm stitching. It is this one, December Quilt by Paula Vaughan. And you know, I'm stitching it because of the little Raggedy Ann doll. I think I mention that just about every time. In fact, this morning I was stitching on this and I was talking to my friend Cheryl that I'm making this for. And we were discussing what had happened over our 4th of July weekends and what we had done. And I was stitching away on her Christmas present. It was fun. But my Great British Bake Off game also I needed to stitch for my episode 5 to finish it up. And I had mentioned to you that I needed to stitch for 3 different things. And so I was needing to stitch 275, I think is what it was. Anyway, I stitched 420 stitches, so that one is complete. And now I can work on finishing episode 6 because I'd already started it with Santa's Workshop and Hope and Love. So now my next one that I'll be stitching on is Girl in Her Garden, and I need to do 125 stitches in there. But since I have finished my July stitching, Christmas and July stitching, I'm gonna do that this afternoon. And so I'll get another one of those stitched up. But what I hadn't even decided to do until I looked at it was my Whip Go board. Whip Go number 2 for me was Whip of Choice. And so I decided to make December Quilt my whip of choice because I only have 3 whips that I actually had that were whips at the beginning of the month when this number was called, and December Quilt was one of them. So I decided to make that my whip of choice, and because I did 435 stitches in it, that was more than the 300 required for my Whip Go goal. So I have met the first of my 2 Whip Go calls for the month. The second one is number 16, and it is for my smallest whip. And at this point, my smallest whip, goodness, I don't even know what that would be. I'll have to go back and look at that. I'm thinking that actually might be Tiny Town at this moment, but it could be any one of these that that I start and turn it into my whip and then end it later. So that one will be easy to get sometime by the end of the month. But this is how far I got. Isn't this exciting? I got all of the banister railings done, and I even got one of the colors almost done in the bear. And I decided I was going to go ahead and put it aside so I could do my Great British Bake Off stitching. But all that's really left back here now are the half stitches for the background behind those railings. And then I can go over and do this side so that I can roll it up. We better go check and see what that was. That was loud. I can roll it up and start working across the bottom. But this is making good progress. And today I felt really good about the progress, so that's awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna go check out what that loud noise was. I hope everything's okay. And I hope to be back later with a little more stitching for you. Well, mystery has been solved. There was a loud noise. You probably heard it in the last episode, but I went downstairs to check on it, and as soon as I got down into the entryway, I could tell what had happened. We had a cuckoo clock that we've had for many years. I gave it to my husband, I think for his birthday or anniversary one year. Probably in our first 10 to 15 years of marriage. We've had it a long time. And it was up in our front entry area of the house. And we didn't always crank it up. You know, we didn't always wind it up and have it cuckoo, but we could when we wanted to. And for some reason today, we don't know why, it fell off the wall. Literally just fell off the wall. And it wasn't the mounting to the wall that fell. It fell off of it. We don't know why. Don't have a clue why. But unfortunately it broke. It broke in several pieces. It was wooden, and when it hit the floor, it hit it hard. So my husband took it. I think he's thinking about whether he's going to glue it back together or not. I'm not sure it's salvageable, but it brought to mind the Christmas show where the man wins the lamp light that's the woman's leg, you know, the leg lamp, and it's broken, and you know, his wife broke it, and then she doesn't have any glue. So when my husband was picking up that cuckoo clock, and I said, oh, it's broken, it's really not, I don't think you're going to be able to fix that. He looked just like that guy to me, holding that clock with all those little parts and pieces, and he's like, I'm going to glue it back together. I hope he does, if he really wants it that bad. But it tickled me. Couldn't help myself. Anyway, mystery solved. Well, it's been a great day of stitching. Welcome back. I am here to share with you that I was able to stitch on one of my prompts for the Great British Bake Off Challenge. This one was for my whip that's Girl in Her Garden. And I had to stitch 125 stitches for episode 6 because the baker that Girl in Her Garden is paired with, Lottie, got Star Baker. And then, unfortunately, in episode 7, Lottie gets sent home. And there's no handshake. So I needed another 225 for a Girl in Her Garden for episode 7. I went ahead and looked ahead just to see, am I going to stitch on her again so I could get it all done, mainly because I'm doing the Christmas in July. And so I'm trying to do my Great British Bake Off stitching each evening after I finish my Christmas stitching. And so since this was going to be for 2 episodes, I went ahead and did it all together. I wound up doing a total of 363 stitches instead of just the 350 that I needed for both episodes. And this is where that got me. I'm so excited. Finished her entire face and have started on the dress. Isn't she precious? Oh, she's just beautiful. Anyway, this means though that she has finished her British Bake Off challenge because unfortunately Lottie was sent home. And so I won't be able to pull her out anymore this month for the British Bake Off. And since I am doing the Christmas in July and only stitching extras after I do that every day, my guess is we won't see her again until next month. But that's okay. That's a good, I think, a good progress. I'm tickled to death that I finished her face all in one time and that I've gotten started on that beautiful dress. Just lovely. So there you go. Now, I'm gonna have dinner with my hubby and I may be spending the evening with him. So I don't know that I'll do any more stitching this evening. But my call for my Christmas stitching tomorrow is another new start. And it's also another piece called Reindeer Games. But it looks like a game board. So it's quite different designer than the first one. And so I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow. So if nothing else, you'll see that. If I do any more bake-off stitching between now and then, if by any chance I get to do that, I'll be happy to share that with you tomorrow. But I hope you've had a great day of stitching today. I sure have. It's been wonderful. And I'm really, really tickled to have gotten finished with episode 6 and started on my episode 7 for the Great British Bake Off. I feel like I've caught up, which is wonderful. So happy stitching, and I'll talk to you, I hope, tomorrow. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back again. It is the 8th of July, and I wanted to share with you some stitching that I've done so far today. Hopefully there'll be more, but we'll see. Let's start with what I finished last night. As I was on my Zoom call last night, I wanted to work on something that was easy enough for me to stitch while I talked with people, but that I needed to stitch on. And so I looked at my Great British Bake Off game, and I needed to stitch on Ode to a Good Dog. And the reason I needed Ode to a Good Dog is that I had finished my spring bag, which was one of my 12 projects, and I had in my alternate opportunities that I drew out Ode to a Good Dog. So that had to sub in for my spring bag for Dave. And as it turned out, I needed to only stitch 50 stitches because Dave was last in technical for episode 7, and that's what I was stitching it for. And so I pulled out my Ode to a Good Dog by Maximum Cross Stitch, Ellen. And I put 325 stitches in it. It was great. We had a good time talking last night, and so I went ahead and worked on it, and I'll show you what I did. I came over to this side, and I completed the page and went on down onto the next page until my Q-snap blocked me. And then I moved over here, and I started working on that border until I had 325 stitches. I needed 300 because I was using this for my daily 30 as well for one of the O's in scrapbooks. So I met one of my daily 30 prompts, and I got 325 more stitches in the border of Ode to a Good Dog. Isn't that a beautiful border? And it's simple. It's not difficult. I really like it. So that was British Bake Off stitching. So now, looking at my British Bake Off for episode 6, I have one final stitch remaining, which is my Summer by the Sea, and I have to do 225 stitches for that. So I had to wait till today to get that done, simply because it was too late last night to get started on it. But as I've been doing with this Christmas in July stitching, I do that first. And then I go forward and do any extra stitching I can do on my British Bake Off stitching. So, pardon the zip. I just don't want to lose anything out of here because I'm ready to put that back over in my pile, in my storage cabinet. So today's Christmas stitching was a new start, and it's called it's called Reindeer Games. It's by Erica Michaels. And I used that for my magazine monthly challenge group for one of the E's for the E in Woolies for Erica Michaels. And I used it in the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch also for Erica Michaels. And so I was doing it for the designer's name to cover those E's. Now the number of stitches I had to put in it was 173 for the Tour de France, or 100 for my bingo game. And so I wound up stitching 250 stitches in this new start today. So let me show you what it's going to look like. This is Reindeer Games. All 3 of these are included in the pattern. And this is the one I wanted to do first. And I very well may do these 2 as well. But this is the one I got started on. And this is what I did with it. I started in the top corner. I like starting in the top corner. But I was able to get that part done, and I think that's a pretty good start. So I'm going to put this away now. And I'm actually going to pull out my Summer by the Sea so that I can finish my week episode 6 for my Great British Bake Off. And then I will finish up hopefully episode 7 this week, which will, the last one I have to stitch on for episode 7 is Christmas silhouettes, because again, I had finished 6 geese a laying and I needed to do a substitute. So I just made a decision. I've used all my bonuses for alternates that I had in my little jar, and I thought Christmas silhouettes is one I started this month, and I wouldn't mind putting some more stitches in it. So I just put that in as my substitute. So there you go. So you may get to see some stitches in Summer by the Sea. And if I get enough time to do the rest of it, I can do Christmas silhouettes. So that's kind of where I'm headed for today. Tomorrow's Christmas in July is another new start. It's Woodland Wonder. And I believe that is a Rosewood Manor one. And I think it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to start it. But I'm going to put this Reindeer Games by Erica Michaels away now and try to get my British baking stitching continued so that I don't just bail out on that one, because I don't want to. I want to finish it. So that's my hope. All right, so this one goes into my whips, and I will just keep going, and I hope that I'll be able to come back and share more with you later. Happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dina. It is later on the 8th of July, and I am here to talk to you about my British Bake Off stitching. Today, I needed to stitch a fairly large number of stitches on this piece because the baker that it was affiliated with was not only sent home, but we put the handshake stitches with it because there was no handshake in episode 6. So I had to do 225 stitches in this piece, and I wound up doing 307. So that certainly met the requirement. And because I did over 300, I looked and I could use it in my daily 30. My daily 30 acrostic is scrapbooks, and there was a B in there that I was going to use for a start way on down the road. But as it turns out, this says Summer by the Sea. And that's part of the title. And that's one of the criteria you can use to match it up. So I was able to use it in my daily 30 acrostic as well. Something that was a bonus. I hadn't even planned on that. So let me show you what 307 stitches got me today. So today I did the 1/1 stitching in the A, B, C, D, E, F part of the alphabet. I came over here and finished this whole flower. I finished this flower, including the satin stitches that go in there. And I came over here and finished these little buds, and I put in the green vine over on this side that will house another flower down there. So slowly but surely, I'm filling in the top. Now there are flowers. There's a flower here and a flower here that I have to stitch as well. So my thought is, a lot of them use the same colors. So I'll wind up putting in this flower. It'll match here. But then when I start doing this one, I may wind up doing both of those at the same time. I don't know. But I haven't looked ahead yet to see if it's going to be called again next week or not. We shall see. But that was great. Great progress, a great deal of progress in my British Bake Off, because it helped me completely done with episode 6. And now on episode 7, I have one more whip to do, and that's the Christmas silhouettes. And I have to do 225 stitches in it to meet the first in technical and the Star Baker that Hermione received in episode 7, and then I think I'll be current. So I'll let you go. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you some more tomorrow about whatever I've been stitching. Happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I am back to give you an update on my Christmas in July stitching today. Well, today's stitching for July, Christmas in July, is Woodland Wonder, and this is a Glendon place. Many of you have stitched it. I've seen it. I was gifted this recently from an estate, and it came with a packet that was sitting on it of specialties, little accoutrement to go with it. So it had this little pack with it, which includes all the beads, the Krynic, and the blending filament. So I will be stitching it just as it is called for because I have all the supplies. It called for 28 count fabric. So I looked in my stash and I was so tickled to find this. I had a very large piece of 28 fabric, 28 count, from Picture This Plus, and the name of it is Vaughan, F-A-U-N, Vaughan, and I just think it's beautiful, and I think it's going to look really pretty and match that Glendon Place look that they have on theirs quite well. This one's a little pinker, but I think this one's going to do just fine. So today, I had to stitch 33 stitches for the Tour de France. I also needed to use Woodland Wonder for my magazine monthly challenge group, which doesn't have a minimum of how many stitches we have to do. So I did the border all the way across the top and all the way down the side. And that was 161 stitches, and I felt like that was a good enough start for this one, because there are things I want to do today. I want to do some straightening up in my craft room, cleaning up a bit. And then if I do any more stitching today, then it will be much later in the afternoon because I have an appointment to go to with my hubby, to his dermatologist. And so I could very well be there the afternoon, and then we're going to dinner this evening, so I may or may not get to stitch anymore today. So I do want to take some time now and go ahead and get a little tidiness into a couple of places in the craft room that have gotten a little messy from me working on fully finishing projects and things. Okay, so my Christmas stitching for the day is done. I mentioned I want to do some housekeeping, and then I'm going to get back to stitching. And what will I stitch on, you want to know? Well, I haven't decided. I have already looked at episode 8 for my British Bake Off, which really doesn't start until Friday, but because I am doing the Christmas stitching, it's slowing me down and getting all my British Bake Off stitching accomplished. So I could very easily pick up one of those and stitch on it, just to get it kind of taken care of. But otherwise, since I don't necessarily have to stitch on it till this weekend, I might just pick up something else I want to work on and get some stitches in it. And I don't know whether that would be to pick back up one of my Christmas pieces that I got started, or whether it would just be to stitch on one of my pieces that aren't Christmas. So I have a lot of variety in what I work on. We shall see. But I am loving it, and I hope you are too. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Today is the 10th of July, and I'm here to share with you my Christmas in July stitching today. Today's call was for my new start, Kind and Gentle. This is a beautiful Woodland holiday sampler. It is by Artful Offerings. The designer is Karina Hittel, and you can look at the website there, artfulofferings.com, for it. But I've had this in my stash for a little while, and I really wanted to stitch it, and so I put it in my Christmas in July stitching. And today I stitched 388 stitches in it. So I've started the top banner, and I've done at least the first page. This chart is 2 pages, and this is the first page. So I'm gonna stop stitching on it right now. I'm actually stitching this on an 18 count Aida that is called Stormy Clouds. I think it's one of the printed fabrics. It is a Swigart base, but I just thought that would look really good with this. And I'm thinking I'm gonna make it into a pillow or a flat fold. I don't think I'm gonna frame it. I went last night and looked in all the frames I have, and none of them fit. And so it would have to be a custom frame job. And I have been framing a lot lately, and I've decided I want to back off on that some because I just don't have room to put the pictures up everywhere. You know, I can't even put out all my Christmas pictures now, and I'm about to stitch a whole lot more. So I think this one might become either a flat fold or a pillow. We shall see. Anyway, I left the thread hanging because I didn't want to cut it off because that line just continues on the next page. So the next time I pull this out, my plan is to go ahead and stitch all the way across to the second page of that banner, and that way I'll have the whole width of the piece on here, and I'll be able to, you know, do that while I'm doing it all at one time. Easy counting, easy stitching. I was watching Floss Tube this morning while I was stitching. Several people in the last few days, and I've had so much fun doing that. And one of the interesting things I heard was from Teresa Little Stitcher, and she said she's been doing a stitch with me where she reads a story, and I don't know whether she's reading a book or whether she's reading out a story that she's written herself, because I haven't heard them. But I need to go check that out because I enjoy listening to books on tape while I stitch, and that might be an additional way to do that. So I think that's great. Yesterday, I started working on a Christmas present, and I am making a blanket. And so I want to put satin trim around the edge for the binding. And I've got the satin trim, and now I've been watching some YouTube videos because I want to do it right. I want to mortar the corners if I can. And so that may be something I'll work on this afternoon, and hopefully I'll have that to share with you later. But for now, that is my Christmas in July stitching. But it not only met my Christmas in July, it hit my bingo, of course, and I had to do 201 stitches today for the Tour de France, and I did 388, so I did plenty of that. And since I used Kind and Gentle in my daily 30 acrostic for the K in scrapbooks, I get to post that now in a minute, and I will have another letter met for my acrostic. So I am looking forward to posting that and sharing that. So I've gotten off to a great start. I hope you have. I'm looking forward to a wonderful, productive day. I did get a little straightening done in my craft room yesterday. I mentioned to you I wanted to do that, which is how I got started working on that blanket, because in order to put it away, I thought, well, I ought to just make it. I had the 2 big pieces of fleece over there, and I thought I should just make the blanket, and then I'm done with it. I can put away that'll take care of these packages of silks or satin, you know, binding, and it'll take care of the fabric, and it'll take care of the flaw of the sewing thread and everything, and I can get my sewing desk straightened up. So I started working on that for that reason yesterday. But I put away several things off of that table, put them back to where they belong, and I feel better. I feel like my room is, I had a good start to a straightening. So now I get to do some more today, hopefully. And I'll share that with you as I go. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello everybody, I'm back again. I wanted to show you a little more stitching I got done today. I decided to go ahead and work on Neighborhood Friends because I had a P in the Daily 30 acrostic of scrapbooks, and I had originally thought I would use Christmas trees and stitching please to meet that one, but that's coming on down the pike. So today I wanted to go ahead and pull out something that I hadn't had a chance to work on in a little while, and I pulled out my Neighborhood Friends for puppies, P for puppies. And you can see I got one of the puppies completely stitched now, and it was a total of 317 stitches to finish that puppy, and therefore I met the 300 stitch goal, and I was able to use this for my acrostic. And you can see this doesn't show up really well until you get close and see it. So I may wind up having to back stitch that. There's supposed to be another dog this color, but I'm not going to make it that color because that dog looks the most like Coco. And I'm going to stitch her in Coco colors so that it looks like Coco and her friends. Anyway, so 317 stitches for that. I met another letter in my Daily 30 acrostic, which means I have one letter left, and it's the letter A. And so far, I'm looking that I'm gonna have that for a wintry mix, which is coming down the road a little ways, but I'm in no hurry. I can do that. So I am now gonna start sewing and see if I can't get that blanket finished. But I wanted to go ahead and get this done this afternoon. I was waiting on my husband to go to an appointment, and I didn't want to get all involved in my sewing because I've got to pull my YouTube tutorial video back up and make sure I'm doing these mitered corners correctly. So, wish me luck. Anyway, happy stitching, everybody. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dina. It has been a great, productive afternoon. So I finished the blanket I was working on, and I'm so thrilled that I did. My friend that I made this for Christmas is a graduate of Georgia Tech, and I found this beautiful, beautiful fleece fabric at Hobby Lobby not too long ago. They had a big sale, and I just picked up a couple of yards of it because my friend that this is for is 6'4", and he has a hard time finding lap quilts or things that are long enough for him. So I decided I'd make him his own lap quilt, and I'm going to back up here so I can share it with you. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now, it has a gray background or backside to it, so it's a double layer. And what I did is I stitched the two pieces together, and then I put a satin blanket binding on it in a silvery gray to match the colors. And I went online and watched a tutorial on mitering the corners, and it was very good because not only did it show you how to miter a corner with continuous binding, but it also showed you how to do a corner when you ran out of binding and you can't tell the difference. It's wonderful. It took 2 packets of blanket binding for this, and I had a small piece of each one left, but each packet did a top or bottom and the long side, which is wonderful. So I'm going to fold this up a little bit so I can hopefully share a little bit more about the size here of it. So this is how long it is. I really hope that he enjoys it. We exchange a present every Christmas with this couple. This is the husband of my friend Cheryl that I make the Raggedy Ann pieces for. So every now and then I'll try to make him something personal or homemade as well, since she gets something, you know, handmade every year. But I think it turned out really well. To put the binding on, I did a zigzag stitch, and I did mine a very tight weave. Now on the tutorial, it was a baby lap quilt or baby blanket, and it was very small little square, and she did a very loose zigzag on hers. But this is going to see lots of wear and tear, I hope. And so I decided that it would definitely have to be a very well attached binding. So I did mine very tight and very close. So I'm pleased as punch with how it turned out. I hope you like it. You may not like the school, that's okay, but I mean, I hope you like the idea. And it wasn't too terribly hard to do. And it taught me a new skill. I learned how to do binding with mitered corners. So that was wonderful. I'm going to say goodnight. It's after 11, so I'm going to bed. But tomorrow's another day. My Christmas stitching tomorrow is Skating Reindeer, and that is a Mill Hill kit. So I'll get that set up before I head to bed, put it in my little Mill Hill holder that I want to try, and I'll get it ready to go so that it'll be ready in the morning. In the meantime, happy stitching, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is Tina. It's July 12th, and I'm about to leave for my stitching meetup at the library. But I wanted to share with you what I got done yesterday for my Christmas stitching. I got this done before I went to help my friend Donna. We put together a cube storage system yesterday evening to help for her storage space for all of her craft room items. And this one went together a lot quicker than the first one we put together. It was a different brand, and I think it was just a little less complicated, but or maybe it's because we've done one. I don't know. But anyway, we got it done pretty quickly, and we got to have dinner together, so that was lovely. But yesterday's Christmas in July stitching was Skating Reindeer, and this one is Randolph. They each have a name, and there are 4 of them, I believe, and I have all 4 of the kits. I bought these at I think Silver Needle when I went there. But I got this one started, and I started in the center, so I got part of his middle done. I got his belly, all of his belly done, and I've started on his legs. I got the beginnings of a sweater there. But all in all, I was able to get 234 stitches in this new start. I think it's precious. And I will be working on it again now. It'll go into my whips, and I'll be working on it as time goes by. Sorry for the clothes up there. I was just putting that down out of the way. Well, I'm going to be leaving here in a few minutes to go to our stitching meetup. Today's a special day. We're doing a patriotic focus today since it's the month of July. And we are going to bring patriotic pieces to display that we have made. And we are going to also have an ice cream social. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to go pick up Donna here in a few minutes. And we're going to swing by the grocery store to get fresh ice cream. We didn't want to buy it ahead of time because we wanted it to be as fresh as possible. We have a freezer bag that we're going to put it in and carry it straight to the library and put it in their freezer. So hopefully it'll do well. Anyway, everybody signed up to bring, toppings and spoons and bowls and all the things you would need to have an ice cream social. And so we're going to do that today at the stitching retreat, which will be great. So I'm looking forward to that. If I can, I'll try to get some film of it, some footage for you, but since it's a very special occasion. But if I don't, please forgive me, because I do try to live in the minute and the moment when I'm with people like that. And I also want to be respectful that not everybody wants to be on camera And so I have to make sure that the people I capture are okay with that. So it does take a little bit of extra time, and I don't want to kill the mood if they're having a good time. So anyway, there you have it. My bingo call today is number 12, and that is a Christmas in July project. And my Christmas in July project for today is a hands-on design. It's a tree lot. It's a new start for me. It is on dusk fabric, so that's the dark one from Picture This Plus. It's almost black because the original is on black, and I like dusk a little bit better. I can see it a little bit better, and so I am taking it with me to see if I can start it today. But I am also taking along with me Ode to a Good Dog, because that is some stitching I need to do for the British Bake Off. I need to stitch on that, my Christmas silhouettes, and Hope and Love. And Summer by the Sea. Those are all for this week for the episode 8. And I think Ode to a Good Dog is an easier one to stitch, and so I'm taking it with me to the library in case I can't see the black fabric, or even after, if I get a lot of stitching done. Once I get the start done on hands-on design, then I can switch over to the Ode to a Good Dog when I'm ready to do that. So that's my plans for the day. I will hopefully come back this evening and give you a recap of the day and what I was able to accomplish and how everything went at the library. But thanks again for letting me share my life with you, with my stitching with you, my meetups with you. I hope you are having a great day of stitching or crafting, whatever you might be working on. And I'll see you soon. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is much later on the 12th of July, and I wanted to come back and let you know how our day went at our stitching meetup at the Hall County Library. We had 28 of us that came, that stayed for most of the day. We did have a visitor drop in who said he was very interested in learning to cross stitch, but he wanted to wait until next month because he already has some supplies and a kit, and he wants to bring his things and get started on something he wants to stitch. He didn't want to start today on a kit that, we just threw together. I'm hoping he comes back. We'll see. We had a few other visitors who didn't sign in because they just came in at our invitation to enjoy a little bit of ice cream, because today was an ice cream social. We brought toppings and all the fixings and all the supplies needed to have an ice cream social. And we must have had 7 different types of ice cream. We had some sherbet and then 6 ice creams. Even an ice cream cake Donna and I picked up today at Publix, and it was a round cake, but it had the American flag decorated on top of it. Lovely day, lovely day. So we got there that morning. Everybody loaded up the elevator and into the room, and we had 2 full tables of patriotic stitching. And I didn't think quick enough to get it in the beginning when it was full and everybody was there. And as I saw people leaving and taking their items with them, I thought, oh no, I need to grab footage of that. So I will insert at the end the footage of our brag table, but it isn't complete. I'm sorry, I missed a few things. So if you're looking at this and you were there today and your thing isn't there, it's because I didn't get it until after you left, and I'm sorry for that. But we had door prizes, as we usually do, and those were donated by several stitchers in the group and friends of mine that brought me items. And then we had basically a time of show and tell. Everybody who brought items got to talk about them, if they remembered the designer or what magazine it was in. And it was funny to me because when you stand up to talk in front of a group, a lot of times your mind goes blank and you can't remember. But there were people in the group that would shout out the name of the pattern because everybody, was familiar with some of them. It was a lot of fun. We had a great, great time. One of the ladies in our group was very generous. Her name's Lisa, and she makes beautiful counting pens. And she had made everybody a counting pen today that participated by either stitching on something patriotic today or bringing something for the brag table today. And so a lot of people got beautiful counting pins that she made. In addition to that, if you were doing either of those, we got a little raffle ticket, a drawing, because Lisa had cross-stitched and beaded a beautiful little heart, small. It was gorgeous, and it took her a long time to bead it, to stitch it, bead it, and fully finish it. And so she couldn't make one for everybody. So instead, we gave everybody a ticket that had participated, and she did a drawing, and one of the ladies won that beautiful stitched and fully finished heart. So that was lovely. We had a great day of stitching. I didn't get a lot of stitching done at the library. For some reason, I guess with all the activities we had going on, I was up and down a lot, and I was talking a lot with different people, and of course adding tables. We had to add 3 tables today. It was great. Plus, you know, having the brag tables and the tables to set up for food. We had a lot of tables in the room today, and we had to do part of those ourselves because I underestimated how many people were going to be there based on how many had signed up to come through our Facebook group. Not everybody uses it, and today it just happened that there was more than the 5 extra I usually allow for, which was great. So I'm happy. I'm so happy we had a good turnout. That was fabulous. But I had a new Christmas start today for my Christmas in July stitching, and today's start was to be one of the tree lot pieces from Hands On Design. And I wasn't quite sure which one I was going to start first until I got there today and realized that I needed to do one that had the key where I could see it, because I didn't want to be flipping paper back and forth, and I didn't want to go pay to make a photocopy of it. So I just picked the tree that had the key for the color and the symbols on the same page, and that way I didn't have to flip-flop. So that meant I wound up starting this one. This is the one I started right here that has the holly wreath in the middle, and I'm looking forward to doing more on that. So at the library, I probably stitched 2 or 3 leaves and a few of the red specialty stitches in the middle of this. So I had about 3 leaves and these red stitches here. And that was about all I got done at the library today. Really and truly all I got done. So when I got home, I kept working on it, and you can't see all of it because it's on a very dark fabric. But I wound up getting 323 stitches in it. And the reason I kept going is that one of my second and final whip go call of the month is to stitch on my smallest whip. And on whip go, I have to stitch 300 stitches to meet it. So I stitched on this one. I know I didn't have very many more than 23 stitches on it when I came home. But it was a whip. So when I picked it up the second time, I went ahead and did the 323 stitches so that this can meet my whip go goal. So now I've met both of my whip go goals for the month, and I can not worry about whip go for the rest of the month and just concentrate on my Christmas in July, my stitches that are Tour de France values, and then my British Bake Off stitching. I didn't get to that today, but that's okay. I don't have to get to it every day. Today was a packed full day, so there you go. But this is one of the tree lot trees from Hands On Design, and I think it's just going to be beautiful. Her fabric is black. It's called Charcoal Belfast Linen from Yarn Tree, and mine is picture this plus, and it's dusk. Now she did hers on 32 count. I'm doing mine on 28 count, but you know, if you've ever stitched on picture this plus that's dyed, 28 count is going to be closer to 30. So, because it shrinks really small. Anyway, that's my start. And it hit my whip go goal, it hit my bingo goal, and it was my Christmas in July start for the day. So awesome. By the way, I forgot to say, I'm stitching this in sulky. So I did my own conversion. It's not the exact same colors. They're as close as I could match, but they will be a little bit different. But I wanted to do with my sulky so I could do one strand, because I thought that would just make it go quicker and neater. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll put this away for the night. I'm gonna say good night and head to bed. We've got a busy day tomorrow with our obligations at church. In the meantime, I hope you've had a great weekend so far. I hope you have a restful day tomorrow. And with everything you're doing, of course, happy stitching. Good night, everybody. Here we go at our brag table. Some of the really nice things that people brought.
This was like a coming at the chart. He's one of the you forgot to get the tickets and then it's shredder. Yes. So I'm sorry, not Apple laptop. I think they do make an iPhone. That's right. It's robust.
It's been a very patriotic day. And then now it's also Christmas in July. Hello everybody. I wanted to drop this little video here at the end. It's actually a few days since I picked this up, but there's a little bit of a story to go with it. And so I wanted to share that with you. I recently finished stitching a 5-year project, one that took me 5 years anyway, the Nativity by Teresa Wentzler. And I rushed right over and had it framed at Hobby Lobby. And one of the things that happened when I took it in to have it framed is that I learned that when you have things on a frame, you really do have to pay attention to the tightness that you have them in the tension, because this is the second piece that I have found that putting it in the frame so tight at the top and bottom has caused it to stretch a little out of shape. This has only happened on my pieces that have been on frames for a number of years. They've been on there for a very long period of time. So I've consulted with my friend Julie from Reflections Framing and Stitching, because as a shop owner who does the framing herself, she's seen it all. And she gave me some advice for me going forward, and I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was so helpful. First, Julie mentioned that we all have our preferences in how we stitch, and whether we use roller frames or frames of some sort, or whether we use Q-snaps, or whether we use hoops, or whether we stitch in hand. There are different outcomes no matter which way you go. Some people who stitch in hand have a great luck with their stitches being nice and taut and smooth and even. I don't. Some people that stitch in hoop don't mind the hoop making hoop marks on their projects, but that bothers me greatly. I stitch a lot in Q-snaps, especially if it's something I'm going to want to keep portable for me. And the other thing that I stitch a lot on are roller frames. Now, roller frames I've been using for several years now, but before I found roller frames, I was using an American Dream rod system, and that is what my Nativity was on originally. And those are the ones that you sew on the Velcro, or you stick on the Velcro and then you Velcro it to the rods, and so they're very tight. And what I have learned from Julie is that when you put your fabric on a frame of any kind, or a hoop, or a Q-snap, you are pulling your fabric and stretching your fabric so that your stitches, lay nice and neat. Think about it though. On a frame system of any kind, you are stretching the top and you are stretching the bottom across, and you're pulling everything nice and tight, but there's nothing on the sides to pull that fabric. When you're using a hoop or a Q-snap, you have an equal tension all the way around, whether it's a round hoop or whether it's a square hoop or whether it is the Q-snaps. They have equal tension on the sides as they do the top. So Julie has advised me, if I'm going to use roller frames on projects, because they're so easy to use with my floor stand, that's my preference and that's why, and I can do two-handed stitching with it, that I have to be diligent about loosening those frames when I go to store them. When I'm not working on them, they need to have loose tension. And when I put them on the rods, I don't need to stretch them as tight as I can get them. I just really need to lay them neatly down there because then it doesn't put it out of whack. So I say all that because having my Nativity on a scroll frame for 5 years stretched it funny. It kind of went just a little out of kilter. My friend Mindy worked, she and a co-worker worked on this project for an entire day to get it as straight as they could get it. But Mindy did share with me that it was just a little tiny bit out of whack and they could not fix it. Now, there is a solution to that. Julie told me that if I wanted to, I could take this apart and because it's made with DMC, I could wet it and block it just like you would your knitting or, you know, anything that you crochet or knit that has to be blocked. I could wet it and block it and I could get it absolutely perfectly straight. But it's not that bad to me. And I have been working on this piece for so long and I am so pleased with the framing of it otherwise that the little tiny bit that's a little out of whack is very small. You may not notice it, and if I hadn't told you about it, you might not see it. Now that I've told you it's a little crooked, you're gonna see it. I should have just not told you. But I wanted to share what I learned because that's what we watch the videos for, is to see what other people are doing and learn from their techniques and learn from their mistakes. Like in this case, mine. I didn't know any better, but I don't think it's that bad. I'm happy with it. I'm at this point in my life, I'm not going to take it apart and wet it and block it and then take it back to be reframed. If it were worse, I might, but it's not real. It's really mildly out of whack. You know, because Mindy worked on it really, really hard. So let me just share it with you, and because I think it's so pretty anyway, and I can't wait to put it out at Christmas. It's still in the plastic because I'm about to put it in my storage closet to hold it till Christmas, and therefore I don't want to peel this off and let dust get to it before it has to. So anyway, here is my Nativity, and I think you'll agree that it's passable, right? I think it's beautiful. I love the green. The green is a perfect color to pick up on the green in the border and one of the colors of his cloak. And this beautiful gold frame, I think, I'm trying to stretch that so you can see the picture, is just a perfect complement to how this border looks. And I think we did a great job picking all of the things to go with it. And I personally think that it is a beautiful piece. To me, it just shows you how a finished piece can be transformed, you know, by the correct framing. The back stitching, of course, made it pop and come to life, but I think the framing sets it off just as a very beautiful, ornate piece, and I really like it. I can't wait to put it up this year. So I will be, and but I wanted to show it to you and tell you my story and add that on here so I can close out my little video and put it up today. So thanks for letting me share my framed piece with you and my story of what I learned about how to care for your cross-stitch fabric when you are working on a project. I love working on roller frames. I'm not gonna stop using them. They really work well with the way I stitch. I'll just adapt a little bit on how I store them. I will loosen them. And that way I won't have the stretching going on. So anyway, I hope that's helpful information to you. I hope you have a great week coming up, and I will share all the stitching with you as it happens, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching, everybody.